You are live or recording.
Hello, Kansas City. Welcome again to Professor Smooth Jazz, doing an interview with Joyce Spencer, award-winning saxophonist, flutist, and vocalist from Dallas, Texas. And you convert musical influences, style, and genres from traditional to contemporary jazz and classical to R&B, funk, fusion, blues, pop, gospel, and Christian. Well, how are
Mhm.
you, Joyce, doing
I'm doing
today?
great. How are you, Ricky? So nice
Oh,
to be here. Thanks for
it's nice,
inviting me.
and thank you for being patient and
Oh, of
letting me
course.
interview you. So what age did you start your musical journey?
I was in the beginners band in, oh gosh, that's thinking way back, 5th grade. And I started on clarinet
Mhm,
and played clarinet up through 11th grade when the band director just asked, do you mind playing saxophone? Because we don't have any saxophone players.
mhm,
And so I switched. In the 12th grade, I played saxophone, and I liked the saxophone better. Never had any private lessons, no music theory. I come from a
mm,
small town where even if you wanted to take private lessons,
mhm,
there was no one there to teach you. You had to
mm,
travel a little hour or two away, or maybe two
mhm,
hours into. I'm from South Louisiana, and
mhm,
a couple of hours, 2.5 hours from New Orleans, but I learned what I could, and my band director was working hard to teach us. We had about 40 to 45 people in the band,
mhm.
but I found the saxophone to be easier than the clarinet, and with all due respect, more interesting than the clarinet. So I never went back.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting because telling someone I've only been to Louisiana one time, and it would seem as though from there's always music going on and blues and jazz. We're from
Yes,
Kansas City, but
Zydeco.
Louisiana is like, oh man, y'all had a parade and every parade for everything.
We do. We have a festival for everything. We have a parade for everything.
Hmm.
Every time you're in New Orleans, there's always live music on the
Hmm.
street. Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's more in South Louisiana. I think after Hurricane Katrina, North Louisiana started catching on. But yeah, we celebrated things that people would think it was crazy. We had the swine festival. We had the sweet potato festival. We had the rice and petroleum festival. So there was always something to celebrate. And yeah, I mean, South Louisiana is a place where you can, I think it's still that way. I've been gone for over 35 years, but you could go to a drive-through and get a drink. You can
Hmm.
do that everywhere. So, but it's a great place, and it's alive, and we do celebrate. But I even went to college in South Louisiana in Lake Charles as
Hmm.
well. So I stayed in South Louisiana until I graduated from college. Worked a couple of years. I even played in the Acadiana Symphony Orchestra on flute
Hmm.
for a
Yeah, I
little
saw that.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we moved to Texas, and
Hmm.
I gave up music for about 20 years. Life kicked in.
Oh,
We had to,
okay.
got married, and my husband moved to Texas, came back and got me, and
Hmm.
then we started having kids, and
Hmm.
and I gave up everything for my kids, and there was a period of time that I didn't think I would ever go back to music. I had put so much time in college. My first year in college, I was in radio and television,
Hmm.
but I had a music scholarship that kept me in music all the time. Because when you have a scholarship, they own you. It's just like a football team. You have to be at every, got to
Hmm.
be in band all the time. You didn't have weekends during the fall, but I decided to change majors into music, and I just took everything that I could. I studied jazz. It wasn't part of my music
Hmm.
education. I was instrumental music education I majored in, but I also took jazz classes. I
Hmm.
was in the a cappella choir. I took theater. I just, this was my opportunity while I had a scholarship to learn as much as I could. And little did I know, with no classes in music theory before, just jumping in like that was pretty
Hmm.
challenging. but I did it. And then I started playing flute about about around the third year, because it took me 5 years to get out. About the third year, I started taking flute. And I had a wonderful flute teacher. And I asked her to treat me like a flute major, like that was my principal instrument. And she did. And I have to say, what she taught me in those few years has lasted a very long time. And I appreciate that. So, but then, studying jazz and starting with classical jazz. And I remember one day studying jazz, I said, okay, I feel so mechanical. And I said, you know what? I grew up in South Louisiana where, like you said, blues, zydeco, jazz, all that was around me. And one day I just relaxed and just started playing and using my ear instead of thinking of all the theory. So while I appreciate the classes I took, all the theory and everything, there comes a time when the music has to come from your soul. It has to come from your heart. And I was putting that aside, just thinking too much. You ever heard the phrase, you're thinking too much?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And when I did that, then I started enjoying music. But then again, coming back in the scene, I think that coming back now has been easier as opposed to with the 20 years prior, because we didn't have the internet as sophisticated as it is now, where there's a downside to the digital age. There's also an upside because it gives people like me who probably not interested in a major label. Because somebody asked me, do you want to be famous? I said, no, I just want to be successful because murderers are famous. It's not just, I just want to make a living doing this. And then when you realize, Ricky, because I co-host a show every Saturday from 2 to 4 on GHP radio. And one of the things that came up was that the expense that goes into producing a professional quality radio ready track, one track for 90, and then it sells for 99 cents. That nothing that we do to get that track together costs 99 cents.
No.
Uh-oh, Rick froze?
Yes, he did. I'm waiting. I'm still here.
I'm glad we're not live because we can edit this out. That's what
Yeah, that's why I said I'm just going to stay.
I wonder if he dropped. Looks like, no, he's still connected.
I'm telling you, I've been doing this show 4 years where we had to stop. We do ours live and we had to just cancel the show in the middle. It happens.
Oh, wow. Oh, so yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm patient. I already know.
Yeah, that's the nature of the beast.
It is.
Okay, he dropped off, so hopefully he's coming back. He got knocked off, so we'll see.
Okay, am I back online?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay. Man, it says something about my internet is getting interference or something. So we're talking about Yaphet Kotto in that movie, James Bond movie, where I think it was Live and Let Die. Well, when I was younger, I remember about the scenes about, that's where they started maybe in Harlem and then they went to New Orleans, I think it was. And they had the funeral there and it started out slow and then they start dancing and playing the music and people.
Right.
So that's what they do, Yeah.
Yeah. That's New Orleans.
Yeah, so I kind of remember that movie, and it was, and the guy in the old truck, he looked like he was had a shrimp business or something. He was in the old truck, and the police were going around him, and he was.
Oh yeah, I mean, we buy shrimp on the side of the road. That was
and the boats.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's it. That's reality. I love buying shrimp on the side of the road. They were the best shrimp in Louisiana. There's some things that I miss. I love Texas. I now consider myself a Texan, but there were some things about Louisiana, the food and the fresh fish and shrimp. I didn't do oysters though. I kind of, no, especially raw oysters. I never could adapt to that one, but a lot of the other stuff I did.
So food's real hot or spicy? I can't do
Well,
the real spicy, but
our food was spicy. Our music is spicy.
Oh, definitely.
Our music and our food. My gumbo is spicy, but I have learned how to hold back on when I do a big gumbo, because everybody, let's say everybody has a different spicy level, if you will.
Yeah.
And I just put the Creole seasoning in front of in front of them, and the Louisiana hot sauce, and let them make it. But I love making gumbo in that culture, because I come. One of my cousins traced back our roots all the way back to, I think it's the mid 1700s, when my ancestors arrived here from Togo, Africa, and it was Louisiana. So my roots are really deep in Louisiana, and the culture, and on so many levels. So I have to respect Louisiana, because my roots are very deep there.
Well, we're gonna have to talk about that maybe some other time. About we are my family members: Chickasha, Choctaw, Cherokee, Seminole, and Creek, and our family start with a it's pronounced. It looks like Colbert on my mom's side, but it's pronounced Colbert.
I've heard of it.
Colbert.
When you said Colbert, yes.
Yeah, that's so. But some people pronounce it like Calbert. I think there's 3 or 4 different ways in Oklahoma that they.
Well, that's Oklahoma.
Yeah, but our family that we came from the South, like on the Trail of Tears removal, and so I know we had family members Louisiana, all the way Alabama, Mississippi, all the way to Tennessee, Kentucky, the southern part.
Right.
Our family, Florida, all that area down there.
Oh yeah.
Ended up in Oklahoma.
It is interesting.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to discuss that at some other time.
Exactly.
Now, so you said you played in the symphony also. So was that a very large? What about the what is it? The
Acadiana.
Okay, so what does that consist of? Was there?
Well, it was a city orchestra in Lafayette, Louisiana, because I played in the college orchestra when I took flute audition, and I made it in the college orchestra. Like I said, I was doing everything, and I enjoyed that, because I was always in a symphonic or wind ensemble concert band, if you will, playing saxophone. And one day, an opportunity, I think it was a Stravinsky composition, and Dr. Fuller said, "Joyce, there's a saxophone part." And I'm like, "Really?" And then I played my alto sax. And then when the next year I said, I want to try flute, and I actually made it, and I was surprised. I said, "Okay, I made it. Let me play flute." So I always pursued it. I think that those years well, I know they say when you're a baby, your formative years, like 1 to 3, or give or take, but those were my formative years in music, and that I really learned a lot. So when I came back 20 years later, give or take, I was surprised how much I had retained. And I remember the church I was going to, I kept telling them, I'll play saxophone, let me know. Oh, okay. Because people really, I don't know if it's on a conscious or subconscious level, they don't take you seriously. And long story short, I finally got to play, and a lady approached me. She said, "Where did you have time to learn how to play like that?" I thought, no, that doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't. Because while I was in college, I practiced up to 6 hours a day between sax and flute, and playing them, whether it was jazz band or symphonic band. So I took all my academics from 8 o'clock on in the morning. And after that, the rest of the day was always dedicated to music in one form or another, whether it's, the practice room or a band or whatever. And then late that night, I was up till after midnight, whether doing homework, studying for a test or whatever. So needless to say, I had nightmares about college up until, late 30s. Because I missed a class or something like that. But it can be tough, but did I mind it? No, I didn't, because I had an opportunity. When one of my professors, Dr. Mahady, he said, this is the time to practice, because you'll never have that much time again. And I'll never forget that, because he was so right. I never practiced like that again, ever, even now, because now I have a business and I have to operate the business, the marketing, all the logistics of it. And I wish I had that kind of time again. But so I tell everybody, you know, this is the time when you have that time. If you're on scholarship or whatever, you have things taken care of for you. This is the time for you to put those hours in and practice.
And you also play soprano. You said you play alto, tenor. So you play
Yes.
all the saxophones.
Except Barry. Of
Oh,
course, there are
yeah,
more,
oh,
but
yeah,
those
yeah,
are the
yeah.
main four.
Yeah.
But you know, I decided Barry was bigger than I.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Barry sax, don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but it was not, as a matter of fact, in college, since they had a hard time finding students to play Barry, I didn't even want to touch the horn, because if they see you holding it, oh, you play Barry, so I'm going to put you there. I'm like, Joyce, do you play Barry? No, knowing good and well that all I needed was an hour to get acclimated to the size and everything. I just didn't want to play it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And so your music, your first CD was Sweet Dreams, and you had 3 more projects, including the latest was Many Colors.
Right.
And your new selection, I spun that Saturdays, Thursday. Share.
I saw that. Thank you.
You're already spying on me, huh?
Yes, I am.
And I can't keep nothing a secret now, can I?
No, I figured it all out before I go on a show. I try to find out as much about the show and listen to it. And I saw your list on your playlist. Yes, smooth jazzing in the early morning. Yes. And I scrolled down and I saw that I was on your list, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you.
Yeah,
and
it's so many.
Go. No, you're good.
There are so many new jazz selections, because I'm really trying to get an hour of women who are smooth jazz artists, just for the month that always spend women who are smooth jazz artists on my shows all the time, but trying to get about an hour for the month of March, Women's History Month. And I'm just looking and I'm like, man, I have to spend these, because I don't want to get behind, because I don't know what's coming up next week. They might, there might be a lot of more new selections. So I'm trying to stay caught up. And actually, I think I got 8 or 9 that I didn't get to spend, in that 2 hours time. So I'm saying, man, I have to see what next week looks like, because we got 1 more week. And I said, man, I'd like to get that hour in, at least.
Yeah, well, you had an awesome playlist there of music. And I love what you and KKFI, I like what you guys do, because not only do you keep the schedule, you have a schedule of what you played, but you have under it, you have our Spotify link as well. I think that's pretty cool. Amazon link, Spotify. So whoever's looking at it. So I appreciate that. So hats off to you and George for doing such a great job in supporting us women in jazz and also independent artists, because we really have to wear all the hats. Like I said earlier, it's tough out there. I have a slogan that I stole from what's his name? The actor. I said, it's hard out there for a chick. So so we did all the support. What's his name? The actor. It's hard out there for a pimp is what he says. And I changed it. I said, it's hard out there for a chick. We need some help. And often people wonder how can we support you? Because, I'm a look at statistics, and I'm always trying to figure out how to market. How do I, keep a stream of income? And I found out statistics from my distributor that I think it was 40%, 40% of the income came from Spotify. And I love hearing that, because I tell people, I said, just add our music to your Spotify playlist. If,
Mhm,
smooth jazz, I understand if you're a hip hop artist, you don't
mhm,
want, my latest single, Cherish, on
mhm,
that list. But, I think there are a lot of smooth jazz playlists. And there's a guy named Craig on Facebook. He adds my music to his
mhm,
Spotify playlist, and he
mhm,
posted. Those things
mhm,
matter to us,
mhm.
because and we need help. It takes a village to raise an indie, really.
Oh, yeah.
So what you guys do, and every radio station. So I try to just to honor
Mhm,
radio stations. I have a page on my website where I list radio stations that I know that support indie artists, that play my music.
mhm,
And I just encourage everybody to do that. So even on the show I co-host, I'm always
mhm.
encouraged when we have an artist, hey, you guys add their music to your Spotify playlist, share their music. So just help us get it out there.
Mhm. Now, on the KUAW radio show that I have, the difference is you guys send me drops.
Hmm.
You tell what instrument you play, who you are, hello to the Kansas City area, and I play those before your selection. That's a way that you kind of can
Hmm.
relate the music to the artist and hear their voice, what they sound like, and stuff. And I enjoy it because some of jazz artists that I have not met, I haven't met. We got a chance to meet you, and so I get to hear how you sound and when you talk.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that's something that I just started, and it takes a little more time, but what I like to do that. So
Well, let me know
wow,
if you want me to do one for you.
I'm trying to see. Do I already have a? I'm gonna look. I think I already. Did you already do a
You
drop
do?
for me? I think you already did a
I've
drop for
done
me.
several radio drops.
Okay, I'm gonna check to make sure because I have. Oh man, I'm getting quite a few, and I have to look. I thought you had sent me one though.
Well, if
I'll check
not,
to
let
make
me
sure.
know. If you
But
can't
if not,
find it, I'll
yeah,
be happy to
I
do it
will.
for you.
So and well, so what about this new selection, Cherish? I was checking it out, and for my first time, I was like, "Oh man, yeah, this is tight." So, oh yeah, this gonna make my show. I like my show here.
Well, it's a highlight for me in my life, in my life's journey last year.
Mhm,
After COVID, last year
mhm,
started off with some really nice things going for me that I have been working so hard to build up to. I had
mhm,
just come back from Colorado Springs, playing there, and had festivals coming up, and I was like, okay, this is great. But then everything started shutting down,
mhm,
and we were unable to see my mother. uh, we were banned from the retirement community for good reason,
mhm,
of course. They wanted to keep him safe. Even though my sister lived, what, 5-10 minutes from where it is, she couldn't. She tried to see her through the window, and just when they were about to open up, where we could see him on a patio outdoors at a distance, they shut it down because I think by that time was the second or third employee tested positive for COVID. And long story short, my mom got COVID, and
mhm,
she passed away alone because we were not
mhm,
allowed to go in to see her.
mhm,
I mean, we had the phone and everything, but it's just not the same. And our family is, when somebody is sick in the hospital, we everybody drives in to bring comfort and to support and to pray, and we weren't able to do that. So that was a struggle for us. And then I realized now there are over 500,000 people, but when you think about those 500,000 that passed away, each one had a loved one or several loved ones.
yeah.
So this in an emotional and a grief and a way with in terms of grieving, a lot of people were affected. So I wrote this song, an instrumental, and titled it Cherish, because that's what I'm doing now. I'm cherishing those memories, those that I had with my mom. And since my mom passed away, two more people in my family, a father and daughter, passed away of COVID. So I just know that a lot of people are grieving. because of their loss. And this is just a small thing, that something for me to do to get through the grieving process was to write a song. And I'm blessed in that the artist manager, Willie, and you know what, there's a Willie in my hometown.
Mhm.
His name came to mind, but Willie's a trumpet player. He's top
Willie
on the
Bradley?
smooth jazz chart. Yes.
Oh,
See,
yeah, no, Willie.
the man from my hometown is Willie Belton. So they're
Oh,
both
Belton. Okay.
B's.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Yeah.
And connected me with Jeff Kennedy, producer.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
And so Jeff did an awesome job. He and his team, he
Mhm.
has a team of musicians. Every musician you hear, I wish I had their names in front of me, but I don't right now. But Jeff
Mhm.
Kennedy is a producer. He pulled the team together, and then he
Mhm.
sent the track. He said, okay, now it's time for you to lay your horn. I first tried it on alto sax, but then I went to soprano sax.
Okay.
And this is what came out of it. And I'm going to be, for the next few months, working on the marketing part and pushing it out there, trying to get it. This is the first time, as a matter of fact, that I had a track played on Pandora.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
yes, I submit, Pandora is a wonderful station, online music radio station, but this is what they say, they listen to every track, but they don't accept every track.
Mhm.
And this time, this one was accepted. And, even my husband, even before Willie Bradley, my husband was encouraging me, you need to stay smooth jazz, stay genre specific, because, I come from Louisiana, where I'm influenced by blues, jazz,
Mhm.
and not just traditional jazz, fusion, all that. And sometimes that comes out of my music, but radio stations have a difficult time, um, we don't placing that. So, so talking to Jeff Kennedy, I said, yes, okay, help me stay smooth.
Mhm.
Help me stay smooth, help me stay smooth jazz. And I think that helped get in there. Now, will every song I do from now on be smooth jazz?
Mhm.
No, but my goal is to release one smooth jazz track at a time until I have enough for an EP or a CD, and then I'll release that album at that time. But right now, I'm just releasing one at a time. As a matter of fact, I'm about to start on the second track, and it will be on flute this time. So, and that's my plan right now. This is the best that I can do during this pandemic time. And so I'll be pushing to get at least anywhere from 4 to 6 tracks, and at least do an EP and release that. Because I there's a part of me, it's for my health, my mental health, and also, it helps people who have been following you and supporting you, let them know
Mhm.
that you are still serious, you're still in the game, and you're still pressing on, um, to get it done. So that's my plan. So hopefully in a few weeks, in about a month, I don't know, how this
Mhm.
business is, I'll
Yeah.
have the flute track. But I have learned that you can have a plan, and you schedule, it's going to be done. Because actually Cherish was supposed to be released last year, and so many, when because I had already started when my mom was in the hospital, and when she passed away, I just wasn't interested in working on a
Mm.
project. And then I had some health issues in December. I had technical issues on my computer. I lost about 670 song files, and that's a
Mm.
long story. And so, but then again, I'm glad it was delayed, because it gave me a chance to grieve and apply. And so when I was ready to do my part on the track, I had my mother in mind, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to title this Cherish. This is going to be about my mom. So even um I just, even in a promo, I put her image in there some way. So sometimes everybody has their way of processing their grief. And since I'm already in music, I use that to process mine. And I hope that Cherish will help other people process theirs as well in a positive way.
Mhm. Well, we remember to keep you in your prayers, but that is a really nice song. You know, when you
Thank
hear
you.
a song for the first time and you like, oh man, you just like it, because I usually listen to it in the car,
Mm-hmm.
where it's easy, and you got your windows. Well, right now we got our windows outside, because we had some nice days, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not summertime yet. It just turned spring.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but I also wanted to. Oh, you had mentioned about the smooth jazz, contemporary jazz. Well, if you go to Amazon, just like you said, there's all these brackets of different jazz. And so
Right.
when someone asks me, well, what mainly do you play? I say smooth contemporary. And I said, the reason why, because I looked up the definition of smooth jazz. And it says it's influenced by R&B,
Yes.
rock, I mean, all different types of music or those influences. So I said, I'm not trying to get all in those categories and say, oh, this is fusion, this is that. And I said, because when I looked up the definition when I first had my radio show, I said, well, this would be, I said, Professor Smooth Jazz, because the types of music that I'm looking for to play are influenced by different types of, different types of music.
Right.
And I don't get in those categories where, because I can't do like Amazon, they got what, 10, 15 different
Exactly.
things,
Acid
Latin jazz,
jazz.
vocal jazz. Yeah. And so
I
another
feel,
person, I'm sorry, some other
no, go
guy,
ahead.
well, promoters were saying, so you play vocals? And I was saying, oh, sure. I
Mm-hmm.
said, especially, I said, but you got to remember, I was born in 54. So
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different music. I mean, music was just radio stations, so many different radio stations in my lifetime that I listened to and not hear anymore, but I still remember. And actually, my first, I guess you would say, jazz tunes was my dad had, and I was probably, I don't even know if I was in kindergarten. I just remember it was Red Top, can't remember, Red Top. I think his name was Gene something, and then it was
Hmm.
this guy that was vocalist. It was the story of Birdland,
Mm.
and my dad used to try to sing, and man, I just crack up because listening to him, because he could do, or that guy. I'm trying to remember. I have to look it up, but it was a story about, and I guess it took me a while to find him. I might have found him maybe in 2008, 2007, or something like that. I finally found these songs because I didn't know the name of the songs. I just remembered, and so because of the internet, I was
Mm-hmm.
looking around and I ended up finding them. I had to go to this this one store is called FYI here, and then you can have your own CDs made if you find the music. And so but I played it, on my station, and it was telling the story about this club. I didn't know it was called Birdland, and this guy had came from overseas, over in Europe, and he was so glad to be back in the city. And so he went there, and he said Charlie Parker was there, and
Wow.
was James Moody or something like that. So he said
Mm-hmm.
they all got together, but while they were waiting, it sounded like Charlie Parker appeared to be young, but he was talking about his sound that he had to be such a young man. And before the other guys showed up, they all got together and started playing before the other guys got there. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, well, as I listened to it older, I found a lot of history in that selection, but
Wow.
that's where I first remember. And so it's another song. I haven't found that yet, but I can't remember the name, but I thought it was the guy that sang Ain't Misbehaving. What's his name? Keyboard player.
I know the song.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Oh, I'll think of it here. But
Fats
Okay.
Waller.
yeah, that's it. Fats. Yeah, Fats Waller.
Okay.
That's who it was. Yeah. So these were
Thanks, George.
songs that, thank you, Joe. So these were songs that I remember but I know I had to be, because of where I lived, I had to be kindergarten or younger. And I was surprised
Mm-hmm.
I could remember it that long.
Yeah,
Because
I
we
am too.
moved right after the kindergarten, when I was in the kindergarten, and I remember the house we were in. And the red top, I used to like it because I had a lot of energy. So man, I'd just be moving when they play that song, you know.
See, right. I understand.
So that's why I remember, and I know my mom used to say, sometimes I'll just let him go from one chair to the other so he would go to sleep and I could get something done. Normally sometimes I wouldn't want to stop him because I had to get things done and he's just moving all over the place. Well, he's gonna get tired and that way
And you're not a musician? And you're not a
No,
musician. That's amazing.
no, I can't sing, can't read music or anything. But
Well, I think, kids that have the kind, because I had that kind of energy, and I think I still have it to some degree, just learned how to control it. But I had that kind of energy. As a matter of fact, my parents and even my older siblings, like, oh, you can just talk at the drop of a hat. How do you get this energy? And I would just, I knew how to start conversations and keep them going. And I'm still like that. And that's why I thought I would major in radio TV because people say you're already doing it. But I think music, playing an instrument, just being involved with music is something that I think calms hyper people like you and I. I think it's a personality. We're hyper. When my brother, he was in the Army, they were quite a bit older than I. And I think I was either late middle school or early high school, 8th, 9th grade somewhere. He came home from the Army and he had albums. We still had albums. And it was the Jazz Crusaders then.
Oh, yeah.
And Weather Report.
Oh,
Now
yes,
they're not the same kind of jazz, but oh my God, I loved it all. I thought, oh my goodness, this is nice. And you would think, who would like fusion if all you heard was the old school jazz you heard in New Orleans or you heard Motown? And why would you like something, what is it, Teen Town?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Why would you like something like that? And I didn't understand why. And then when I heard Ronnie Law's Friends and Strangers, I was like, oh, that is so cool. But I didn't know I was going to be a professional musician when I heard those songs and loved them. And so when I play, I was a little tiny girl when I heard, he was singing and playing his saxophone. What does it take? Okay, I'm going to think about it.
What does it take to win your love from me?
Yes. Do you remember?
But I think it's called What Does It Take? And I'm trying to remember who the original was because a lot of people.
No, I'm talking about the original.
Yeah, but I can't remember who the original was.
I was really little. Oh gosh, what's his name? If you say it, I'll go, that's him. But I remember how warm that made me feel as a little child, probably 4 or 5, I don't know. I remember how warm that made me feel, and to hear him sing that, and then he comes with the saxophone behind it. And I was just walking through the house and I stopped and I thought, that really sounds nice. And for a baby to hear that and recognize that, I'm like you, what, 4 or 5? I think it was about the same age when I heard that song. I don't know how long it had been out, if it were new or what, I have no idea. But and years later, I heard it again somewhere and I thought, I remember that song. Isn't that amazing?
And Mr. Walker.
Yeah, that's Junior Walker.
That's
Junior
it.
Walker. Junior Walker. That's who it was.
That's it.
He
That's
said
it.
it was Junior Walker. Now, because Junior Walker, it was kind of funny because
Now, George, you should
really
remember that, right?
I didn't really,
Yes.
at that time, I didn't really think about it as jazz. But as I think now that I got older and I think about it, I said, you know what, Junior Walker was more considered like, R&B or soul.
He was.
But because of the saxophone and the way the music, I said, man, that's something that.
But I didn't think jazz. When at that age, you're not thinking genre anyway. Yeah. And I just remember that it was a warm, good feeling. And here I am playing it. I don't know, maybe God was trying to tell me something. This is your
So-
destiny, child. Take note. And but you know, sometimes life will throw you some curves and you're just trying to survive. But yeah, I don't mind giving up. I didn't mind because, you know, as much as I love music and as much as I'm working my music business and trying to make things work out, I will never ever regret choosing my family first. That's that I can't,
That's a
you know,
blessing.
having children.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just something I wanted to do. Married, have children. And my husband and I, we have been married for 36 years. And so I don't have any regrets of that. I look back and I think I'm so glad I had my kids, because really balancing the music business and raising kids, especially when they're babies, that's hard to do. But I was in corporate America for a while, and by the time I had my second one, I came home because my husband and I became self-employed. So that was my journey. And all the while, I remember thinking, I told my BFF, Lainey, I said, you know, I never thought I would come back to music. She said, really, you never left music? And since she'd been my friend for so long and we lived across the street, now down the street from each other, the topic would come up often in my conversation. As a matter of fact, her sister was a professional vocalist who was always traveling with big names. And I said, Julie, I'm just going to live vicariously through you because I don't think I'll ever do that. It's what I wanted to do, but it wasn't something that depressed me so much because I had accomplished something major in my life, and it was to be a mother, right? So I don't have any regrets of that. If I had to go back and choose, I would choose my kids over music again.
So now your son, doesn't he play piano?
He plays piano and saxophone, but he decided he didn't want to continue in music. He was doing well. As a matter of fact, he wrote a piano piece and he came in my studio and I listened to it and I said, I want to add something to this. And it's really, really beautiful. Actually, he's great on the keyboard, on piano, and he trained classically. So did my daughter. You know, I told him piano was like math and science. You don't have a choice.
Okay.
This is part of your life. Because my daughter, when she was 7, she said, Mom, well, she's 29 now. She said, Mom, why do I have to take piano? I said, it's like math and science. You have to take it. And I said, but you'll thank me later. And even though she doesn't play anymore, she appreciates it. She majored in art. She was a visual artist. And she's done illustrations and drawings and paintings, and she's teaching. And my son is still trying to figure it out, but he will. But he's very talented in music. He can write things. I just have to wait till he makes that decision. That's what he wants to do. You can't make anybody do anything, even when they're your own kids.
Yeah. Sometimes it's even harder when you're trying to, because they know all your, what do you call that? All your methods and how you think.
They know your methods. They know your weak points. They know
points.
They know how to. I mean, I don't mean to get on that subject, but just like the what's his name, Kirk. Have to be careful not to say Whalum. Kirk Franklin's son.
Oh yeah.
He knows how to trigger his father. They know I know my mama hates it when I do this, so I'm going to do it. It's called rebellion. And but I've always welcomed people to mentor my kids. I said, if you can bless him in some kind of way and speak to him and mentor him, go ahead. You know, it does take a village. Sometimes you're just too close, you know. And I know someone personally that she just took her son and got some professional counseling for him. Sometimes we're too close to the person that we love, and we need somebody else with a different perspective who can look and at it differently. So whatever it takes, just whatever it takes. It doesn't have to be me. I really do believe that. It doesn't have, if you can say something to my children that will bless them and motivate them, I don't have a problem with that. But on the other hand, you know how we are as parents. If somebody does something to our children that hurts them, then the bear comes out.
Yeah, that's right. Funny that you mentioned Kirk Franklin, because when I was putting my program with Mr. Walker's, and one of the psychiatrists, one of the talk shows, that's what they were talking about. Kurt
Oh,
Franklin. Why
really?
does he owe apology? You know, his son said this and that, and he told, you know, they got.
I didn't think you owed us an apology.
No,
Handle
no,
your business.
like
You know, we don't record our parents and put them out there like
oh,
that.
no.
You know,
Oh, no.
I wouldn't do that to my parents. They're both gone now, but
Mhm.
you have to think about young people or anybody. If you want to put somebody on blast, as we say, like that, and it's somebody who is your father, your mother, you know, what if they died today? Will you still feel good about what you just did?
Yeah, they you got to remember, I can remember work at the family court, work with kids. Some kids wish they had parents
Exactly.
that would get on them and tell them what to do, what you
Mhm.
can't do. They would love
Right.
it. You know?
Yeah, you're right about that,
And so
because
some,
actually that's a sign of love when they're getting, because, you know,
Yeah.
he already, even though he's his son, Kirk already has a life. He's set.
yeah, yeah,
You're 33 years old. He doesn't have to be concerned about you, because one thing that you have to understand as parents is that when your child does something and they're grown up, you know, they're
Mhm.
grown, don't feel bad about it, because did they call you when they said, Mom, I'm about to rob this bank, I'm about to rob this store? No, they didn't call you. They didn't, the reason why they didn't
Mhm.
call you, because you already taught them that it was wrong.
yeah, yeah.
And they made a conscious decision. You will still feel bad about it because it's your child. But on the other hand, you know, please understand that when our children are grown up, they're adults, they won't call you because they already know. And how do they know? It's because you taught them. Because I made decisions contrary to what my parents brought me up, and I paid the price for it, and moved on and learned from that.
Yeah, I was telling this someone I knew, and I was telling them, I said, you ever see a young one, I mean a baby, and he wants to touch something, and all you don't have to say you can just say whoa, and he's gonna turn around and look and snatch away. And
Right.
if you're not looking, he's gonna try to whatever
right.
he was trying to get. And they learn the word no. Yeah, they learn the word no. But you don't even have to say no. All you got to say, you just make any sound when they're ready to do something, and they're gonna stop
Exactly.
and turn around. And once you make that sound, anytime you make that sound, they go associate that with no, I'm not supposed to do this. So he's watching.
Right. And that means you've taught them. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the best that we can do as parents.
Yeah.
You teach them and you pray for them.
Oh,
And
yes.
sometimes you just have to let go and let God.
Yeah, let go. Yeah. You know, and you can't, Steve Harvey, you know, he's still watching his daughter, you know, he's marrying that Michael, whatever, the one that played Black Panther. That was
Okay.
Yeah, so he's still kind of watching his daughter, but I was saying sometimes though, when after they get older, they kind of rebel because, you know, they want to be grown, then they don't want to be grown.
Right.
Just like the
Mom, I need
what
some
he was
money.
talking about. He was saying, they were talking about raising kids and well, if I don't pay that rent, they're gonna try to move back home. So what's cheaper to keep them there?
That's what I mean. They know what buttons to push.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Mom, I guess I'll move back home. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'll give you the rent money because I don't
Yeah,
want you here.
yeah.
So, you know, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. So hey, and so before we go, oh man, all these awards you got awards from radio stations, with recognition such as the GHP Radio Music Awards, Sound Fusion Radio Song of the Week, Sassy Radio Top 20, and some of your special features on your radio station. That's with the Jazz Oasis, the Coffee Talk, Jazzy 100, and Amazing Smooth and Jazz Radio. So you also featured as a lead vocalist in 2 tracks on the Grammy-nominated album Life Happens by David
But not vocalist
McLaurin.
though. Not
Huh?
vocalist. It was instrumental. It
As
was not a
instrumental?
vocalist.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I heard that song. So I thought that's what you had a, maybe I took that down wrong. But
I
when I
have
was
some
looking
vocal
at it,
songs, but
oh, okay.
the ones that was a
Oh,
Grammy consideration was
is
David McLaurin's. Mhm.
yeah. So I know I played it before, and I said, oh, I don't remember. I remember her. You were featured on that selection.
Mhm.
Okay, and you were nominations: Black Woman in Jazz, Female Saxophonist of the Year, the GHP Radio Virtual Music Award for Best Groove Featured Sax, NAACP Music Award. It says Garland.
Yes,
What's
it's
that?
the local chapter. Mhm.
Oh, okay. And of course, the Coffee Jazz Radio Heart and Soul Instrumental Award. Also, awards for the now that was the Academia Award for Best Funk.
Academia, I think they pronounce
Academic
it. I
Academia.
could be
Yeah,
wrong
that's what it
now.
is. Look,
Yes,
look, it's Academia. Yeah, I see
it
it
is.
now.
Okay.
Academia.
All right.
Okay, and that's for your CD Mini Colors.
Mhm.
Best Female Artist by South Florida Gospel Music Awards. Now, you didn't mention about your gospel. Uh, I know I
That
was
was from
watching
the
LinkedIn.
first, yeah,
Mhm,
the first CD I
mhm,
has a lot of
yeah.
gospel or
Mhm,
faith-based songs in it.
mhm,
Sweet Dreams really is. And
mhm.
when you
Oh yeah,
watch
yeah.
the
I played.
music video, there is
Mhm,
scripture at the end of it. And
mhm,
Your Voice is about
mhm.
singing to the voice of God. So, and that nomination was probably about 10 years ago when I
Okay.
got that nomination. It was during that time when I had that
Mhm,
CD. I mean, I would love to. My husband has been, Ladarian has been asking me to do cover gospel CD, nothing but,
mhm,
cover. Because one of
mhm.
my favorites to play is Grateful by Hezekiah Walker.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And when I do church events and
Mhm,
love to do that one, for some reason that song just moves me.
mhm.
And I would love to do it, but I have to wait until the budget is right because each track I have to pay,
Oh yeah.
mechanical license and all these
Yeah.
licensing fees. So
Mhm.
I have to think it through. I have to think. I need a financial mentor who can help sponsor that project. But
Yeah.
I would love to do that. Yeah,
Mhm.
that would be great.
Okay. You still got more Best Female Jazz Flutist, Best Producer, Arranger, Composer by
Those were
Black
nominations.
Woman
Yeah.
in Jazz and Fine
Hmm.
Arts. Okay, and you are also a co-host and reporter of entertainment news for the GHP Radio, the Indie
Yes.
Live spot.
Yes,
Wow.
that's the
So,
one every Saturday from 2 to 4 o'clock. We have
oh, okay.
it's Gary Fuston is the host. It's his baby, if you will.
Uh-huh,
Everything is at his place.
uh-huh,
And we come together on Skype and then he casts it on YouTube. And we have guests come on every Saturday. Some are independent artists that are just starting out. Some are very seasoned independent artists because we did have Willie Bradley and Nick
mhm,
Kelly on at the same
uh-huh,
time, and they're both top smooth jazz
mhm,
artists. And it's
mhm,
not all smooth jazz. We do allow some other
mhm,
musical genres to come through as well.
mhm.
The only thing that Gary requires is that is clean, you
Oh,
know,
yes. Yes.
if you know what I mean. So,
Mhm,
but even though the majority of what we have is smooth jazz artists, it's not just that's just how it evolved, I think. But it was for indie artists, but not smooth jazz specific. But we've had some amazing people come on our show that I've never heard of that are doing some amazing things. Uh, and I think it's a humbling experience to do the show
mhm.
because you realize there are just a lot of talented people out
Oh,
there.
yes.
So
Yes.
that's why if you play my song on your radio show, I am so
Mhm.
grateful because
Yeah.
I know for a fact there are a lot of there's just a lot of good music out there.
Mhm. And there are
And we're all trying to make it.
there are a lot of women, uh,
We're coming out.
not only vocalists and instrumental. You
Oh,
know.
yes. I'm hearing some female saxophone players, not just in the US, but in other countries. I
Oh
have a
yes.
group that I created called Saxophones with an S.
Mhm.
I didn't think it would take off like that. I think
Mhm.
there are probably now between 4,500 and 5,000 people. And I
Mhm.
will see, I will try to watch a lot of what's going on. And there are some phenomenal things going on. And to hear the classical saxophone there, I forget her name, it was just beautiful. So we're coming out, no, not as much as the men, but it's increasing.
Mhm.
And the women are playing. We're not,
Mhm.
I remember years ago, it happened years ago, but I just found out, a couple of years ago that I was, how you do the showcase or the
Mhm.
oh, what do you call those? I know we call it entertainment showcase where you come and you sit in and
Mhm.
and I would do some of that. And somebody said something to the man that he didn't like the way I played because I didn't play like a woman.
Mm.
It's like,
Yeah.
wow,
Mm.
okay. Because this is what I tell people. When I have my dinner, I don't like just vegetables. I don't
Mhm.
like just meat. I like a combination of things, and that's how I
Mhm.
like my music. So one day you might hear something that's soft and pretty, but the next time it might be some growls, it might be
Mhm.
some double tonguing, it may be something a
Mhm.
little more aggressive. And that's just the way I play. I'm not trying to play like anybody. I'm playing the way I enjoy to
Yeah.
play because I'm about to release a single track that's not part of my smooth jazz
Mhm.
collection for the next.
Mhm.
The name of the CD, smooth jazz CD, is Hidden Treasures, and
Mhm.
I will be adding. But on the side, I have a tune coming out probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. The producer is Gary Fuston, who is
Mhm.
also the host of the GHP Radio
Okay.
show we do every Saturday. I sent it to Gary. I said, Gary, I wrote this song. It's funk. It's not smooth jazz. I said, you produce a lot of cool stuff, and because he was smooth, and now he's doing a lot of things that's more of a hip hop
Mhm.
sound. And
Mhm.
he listened to it. He loved it. I said,
Mhm.
he used to play drums. I said, I
Mhm.
wrote the drums, but do whatever you want. And he sent it
Mhm.
back, and I just loved it. And he said, now put what you want on it. And I did background vocals. I
Mhm.
did a horn section.
Mhm.
And it was because what I just layered my saxophones and
Mhm.
flute and did a horn section, horn hits, if you will. And it is, and I'm loving it, but it is
Mhm.
not smooth jazz at all. And I'm
Mhm.
not going to put it on my smooth jazz album, but
Okay.
it's me expressing me. It's different. I
Mhm.
play the altissimo register into the lowest note, but do I do that every time? No, but it's just me. And I don't
Mhm.
know how to play like a girl. I just play like a
Mhm.
human being. I
Yeah.
don't go said, okay, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
My mental process isn't that way because when I played the saxophone, I didn't think of it as being a man's horn.
Mhm.
When my band director said, "Do you want to play?" Yes, it's cool.
Mhm.
I just thought that wasn't in my head that I wasn't supposed to play saxophone. And then
Mhm.
on top of that, you're not supposed to play it like that. So I think what happens is that people will create a box for you,
Yes.
whether it's consciously
Mhm.
or subconsciously, they'll create a box.
Mhm.
And if you said, I'm not getting in that for some reason, I'm not getting in that box because it's too small, or it may be too big because you're not there yet, but I'm not getting in that box. And they get mad because I created this box for you. And how dare we create a box
Mhm.
for somebody else? How
Yeah.
dare I do it or anybody? Yeah, so don't tell me how you're supposed to do it this way. Now I getting um, people counseling me and saying, okay, for you to make it, this is how you do it in the business. I get that. I really get that. But how do I tell somebody you don't play? I mean, what if a guy's playing flute and I tell him, you don't play like a man.
Mhm.
That's too sweet.
Oh
you
yeah. Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
you playing classical flute. What is
Yeah.
it? One of my favorite classical flutists was Jean-Claude, French guy.
Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Some.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What if I tell him, you play too sweet for a guy?
Mhm.
You don't play like a guy.
Mhm.
I just don't understand the relevance of any of those type of comments at all.
Yeah. And it's
Because the
just
girls are
like,
here. The girls are back in town and we're playing and I'm listening and I'm enjoying every minute, every second of women playing saxophone, playing flute, playing guitar, and playing. We're coming out. As a matter of fact, you guys stay tuned because I'm a part of this. I'm not the one who spearheaded it or created it, but a promoter called me and about doing an all-female annual all-female jazz, all female, where it will go from city to city. And I think it was supposed to start last year, but pandemic canceled. Everything was laid out, ready to go, sponsors and everything. And then it just came crumbling down. But it's starting to pick up speed now. And so you guys stay tuned because we're going to celebrate women and women in jazz and all kinds of jazz. You know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to that because I know you know Paula Atherton,
yes.
or Heidi Tran.
Yes. She just had a single. Yes.
Right. An awesome single. So you're going to be looking at women like that who are doing some amazing things, releasing new music. And I'm looking forward to it. Is it and the goal is to do it annually to celebrate women.
Okay, but
so stay tuned.
yes, before we go, could you leave your information where if someone wanted to catch you?
To reach out to me, my website is joycespencermusic.com. That's joycespencermusic.com. Everything is on my website. Every social network that I'm involved in, where you can connect with me, from Facebook to Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, even TikTok. You can connect with me there. And as a matter of fact, you guys, I have music on TikTok, 15 seconds. It's on there now. So you can use my music to back up some things. Anyway, and I have videos of me playing with bands, solo acts. Everything is there that you want to know. Because not only do I do original, I also do cover shows for private events as well.
All right. Well, thank you. And you have a day. I'll make sure I keep you in my prayers and I'll look forward to the new music. All right.
Thank you. All right.
You have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.